Story time! Hello, everyone. Please enjoy our amazing stories, which are full of valuable lessons. Once upon a time, there was a duckling who looked different from all his siblings. While they were cute and yellow, he was gray and awkward looking. The other ducks made fun of him, calling him ugly and leaving him out of their games. Heartbroken, he ran away from home. As seasons changed, the duckling grew lonely and sad. But one spring morning, he saw his reflection in a pond and couldn't believe his eyes. He had transformed into a beautiful swan. All those who once mocked him now admired his grace and beauty. Let's test what we learned. Why was the duckling treated differently? Because he looked different from others. What did the duckling do when others made fun of him? He ran away. What did the duckling become? A beautiful swan. What's the main message? Don't judge by appearances. Everyone has their own unique beauty. Why is this story still important today? It teaches us about acceptance and self-worth.
Once upon a time, there was a sweet little girl who was loved by everyone who knew her. Her grandmother had given her a beautiful Red Riding Hood, and she wore it so much that everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother asked her to take some freshly baked bread and a jar of honey to her sick grandmother who lived in the woods. Remember, her mother warned, stay on the path and don't talk to strangers. Little Red Riding Hood promised to be careful and set off on her journey. The sun was shining, birds were singing, and she was happily skipping along when suddenly a large wolf appeared. "Where are you going, little girl?" the wolf asked in a friendly voice. Not remembering her mother's warning about strangers, she replied, "I'm going to visit my grandmother. She's sick, and I'm bringing her some bread and honey." The wolf, being clever and sneaky, thought of a plan. He suggested Red Riding Hood pick some flowers for her grandmother. And while she was distracted, he rushed to grandmother's house. The wolf tricked his way inside, locked poor grandmother in the closet, and dressed in her nightgown and cap. When Little Red Riding Hood arrived, she noticed something strange about her grandmother. "My, what big ears you have," she said. "The better to hear you with," replied the wolf. "What big eyes you have, the better to see you with. What big teeth you have, the better to eat you with." Just as the wolf was about to pounce, a brave woodcutter who had heard the commotion burst through the door. He rescued a Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother, and they filled the wolf's belly with heavy stones before throwing him into the river. From that day forward, Little Red Riding Hood always remembered to listen to her mother and never talk to strangers again. Now, let's test what we've learned with 5 questions. What was Little Red Riding Hood carrying to her grandmother? Answer: freshly baked bread and honey. What warning did her mother give her? Answer: stay on the path and don't talk to strangers. How did the wolf trick Little Red Riding Hood? Answer: by suggesting she pick flowers while he went to grandmother's house. Who saved Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother? Answer: the woodcutter. What important lesson did Little Red Riding Hood learn? Answer: always listen to your parents and never talk to strangers.
Once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs who lived with their mama. When they grew up, it was time for them to leave home and build their own houses. Before they left, their mama warned them, "Remember, my darlings, always work hard and be careful of the big bad wolf." The first little pig was quite lazy. He quickly built his house out of straw because it was the easiest thing to do. "La la la, now I can play all day," he sang happily. The second little pig wasn't much better. He built his house out of sticks, which took a little more time than straw. "This is good enough," he thought. "Now I can rest and have fun." But the third little pig was different. He worked hard, day after day, building his house with strong bricks. His brothers laughed at him. "Why work so hard? Come play with us." But the wise little pig just kept building. One day, the big bad wolf came prowling around. He saw the first little pig's straw house and growled, little pig, let me come in." The pig replied, "Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin." So the wolf huffed and puffed and blew the house down. The terrified little pig ran to his brother's stick house. Soon, the wolf found them and demanded to enter. Again, He huffed and puffed, and down went the stick house too. Both frightened pigs ran as fast as they could to their brother's brick house. The wolf followed them and tried his hardest to blow down the brick house, but he couldn't. He tried and tried until he was completely out of breath. Finally, he climbed onto the roof to try coming down the chimney. But the clever third little pig had a pot of hot soup waiting in the fireplace. The wolf fell right in and ran away, never to return again. Now, let's see what we learned. Here are 5 questions. Question number 1. How many pigs were there in the story? Answer, 3 little pigs. Question number 2. What materials did each pig use to build their house? Answer, the first used straw, the second used sticks, and the third used bricks. Question number 3. What did the wolf say before trying to enter each house? Answer, little pig, let me come in. Question number 4. How did the wolf try to get into the brick house at the end? Answer, he tried to come down through the chimney. Question number 5. What's the most important lesson from this story? Answer, hard work and doing things properly pays off in the end, even if it takes more time and effort. Well done, everyone! You have answered all questions brilliantly, and that's why we should always remember, taking shortcuts might seem easy at first, but doing things the right way will keep us safe and happy in the long run.
Once upon a time, there was a little country mouse named Pip who lived in a cozy burrow at the edge of a peaceful meadow. While Pip loved the fresh air and simple life of the countryside, he couldn't help but wonder about the exciting city life he'd heard so much about from passing travelers. One day, Pip's cousin Max, a city mouse, came to visit. Max wore a tiny silk scarf and told amazing stories about tall buildings, endless food, and bright lights. "Oh, Pip," Max said, "you haven't lived until you've tasted the delicious leftovers from fancy restaurants and slept in warm department stores." Fascinated by these tales, Pip decided to visit the city. Max welcomed him with open arms and took him to a fancy house. They squeezed through a small hole in the wall and found themselves in a magnificent kitchen. The counters were filled with more food than Pip had ever seen. But just as Pip was about to take his first bite of a delicious cheesecake, a loud noise startled them. A huge cat appeared, its yellow eyes gleaming in the dark. They ran as fast as their tiny legs could carry them. Then, a vacuum cleaner roared to life, and a woman screamed when she spotted them. Heart pounding, Pip huddled in a corner with Max. Throughout the night, they faced more dangers, poison traps, another cat, and the terrifying sound of cars honking outside. By morning, Pip had made up his mind. "Thank you, cousin," he said, "but I think I prefer my quiet home in the country. Better to have simple meals in peace than feast in fear." And so, Pip returned to his meadow, grateful for his simple but safe life. He realized that what seems exciting isn't always better, and true happiness comes from being content with what you have. Now, let's test your understanding with these questions. 1. Why did Pip want to go to the city? 2. Who was Max? 3. What dangers did Pip face in the city? 4. What did Pip decide in the end? 5. What is the moral of this story? Answers. For question number 1, Pip wanted to go to the city because he was fascinated by Max's stories about city life. For question number 2, Max was Pip's cousin who lived in the city. For question number 3, Pip faced dangers from cats, a vacuum cleaner, poison traps, and scary traffic. For question number 4, Pip decided to return to his peaceful country life. For question number 5, the moral is that we should be content with what we have, and that what seems exciting isn't always better.